Cool. Alright. This is the second video I'm making today. This one's more culinary based than the last one I did. Anyway. These are the essential skills you need to know to be a great cook. And it might surprise you because these things don't actually require you to cook at all. Alright. Thing number one. The first thing you need to know. Sorry, I have glasses out. First thing you need to know before you can cook. First skill you need to acquire. Understanding flavor. You have to understand salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and umami, which is, it's one of those fantasy flavors, and then there's a sixth one they think is metallic, but that doesn't really matter. You have to understand these flavors. You have to understand how they interact with each other. You have to understand how they contraindicate each other. And you have to understand what each one is, so you can dissect flavors later. The second skill you have to understand is how to identify flavors. Because just because you know what it is, like if I blindfolded you and somebody fed you an apple, would you know that's an apple? Or somebody fed you a piece of salmon, would you know that was salmon? If somebody gave you a strawberry with a piece of cream cheese attached to it, would you be able to identify those flavors? Or would you just be confused and saying, hey, this is just good, it's sweet, and it's creamy, and ooh, I want more of it. Because these things matter in flavor combinations and things like that. But anyway, the third skill you need to know is how to build a flavor. This is really kind of more important when you talk soups and stews and stuff like that. Because unless you know how to build flavors, you just end up having a bunch of clashing flavors together, or you don't have the right savory and all that. It's kind of like building flavors is kind of like an oil painting. If you've ever watched, actually, perfect example, go watch a Bob Ross video. You know, the dude with the poofy hair, and over here, we're gonna paint a happy little tree. What are you doing over there, little tree? Like that guy. Go watch him. He actually does this really, really well. He always paints a foundation first. Or actually, you can just watch your wife put on makeup. Or whoever in your house puts on makeup. Anyway, Bob Ross is still a better example. Because he's got his canvas. The first thing he does is he puts a foundation down. Some base color that he puts down. Those foundations in food would be things like beef stock or chicken stock or seafood stock or vegetable stock. Those kinds of flavors are your foundations. And then he does wide kind of landscape. Like you see him starting to paint the background of actually, we'll just call it a background flavor instead of a foundation. Like background flavors. These flavors include things like carrot, celery, onions. That's called a mirepoix in France. It's a foundation for a lot of flavors. In Cajun cooking, fun fact, it's called the Holy Trinity. But you get rid of the carrots and add bell peppers. That's the Holy Trinity. For Cajun. Anyway, those are your background flavors. Those are what gives you the kind of not so base flavors. They tend to give you like the man, I can't even think of the word right now. Good Lord. Screw it. I'll just describe it to you. They give you the like the under flavors. kind of like they build on your base. So instead of it just being like a bland chicken flavor, it gives you like a bland chicken with a sweetness to it, because everybody knows that if you cook onions and carrots long enough, they become sweet. Anyway, so you have your background flavors. Then you have accent flavors. These things are like your garlic and your herbs, your sachet bags, if you want to talk actual terms, but some people just throw in whole herbs. I like to do that, like your thymes, your rosemaries, your sages, your cilantros, things like that. Those are your foreground flavors, or those are your accent flavors. Sorry, those are your like snow-covered peaks and your happy little trees and stuff like that. Then you have your foreground flavors. These are the things that you actually have, that you actually want to stand out. These are your flocks of birds or your pheasants, like the subject matter of your painting. These are the things that people would mostly associate with like steak and fish and chicken and like the main protein entree of your dish. But you have to learn how all these flavors mingle and how to build them in such a way that one flavor doesn't overpower the other in a way you don't want it to. All right, fourth thing is how to balance flavors. What good is it to have built your flavors perfectly if you have one flavor that stands out that you didn't? Like, let's go back to the Bob Ross example. So let's say you've got the perfect foundation. You've made the background flavors absolutely gorgeous, and your foreground flavor is spot on perfect. But you added way too much rosemary. Those flavors aren't balanced. Your accent overtook everything. And it's not going to work. Oh, this is a fun one too. So let's say that you are grilling something. Let's say you're grilling the perfect steak. Beautiful ribeye, gorgeous marbling, and everything. And then you oversalt it. Those flavors aren't balanced. Nobody's going to want to eat that. So why? Not why. What the hell am I talking about? Then nobody's going to want to eat that. These are things that you have to know before you ever pick up a knife. Go out to eat other people's food, try to pick out flavors, and try to figure out how they balanced. This is one of those things that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of mental processing to do, but these are absolutely essential to learning how to cook. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys to it. You guys have a great day.